So that's how we're solving the streaming industry. Welcome back to the dinner table. It's Spotify rap season, and you're lying about your top artist being Mitski to impress that cute indie girl. Or you might be questioning your sexuality because Spotify said you should live in Berkeley, California. I'll see you all in Berkeley. You're definitely kicking yourself over that down bad month where you listened exclusively to Taylor Swift. You're a Swifty, just admit it. And of course, all your friends are once again confirming that they have mid-taste in music. But through all the chatter and top fives, one group of people seem to be the loudest this time of year, the independent artist. They watch as everyone supports the company that has absolutely fucked them for their entire career. In this episode, we dive deep into the streaming industry and the struggles it creates for the indie artist. We talk about how Spotify devalues art, the fact that record labels have never been less powerful, and why in some ways, independent artists have never had it better. Midway through the episode, we open the discussion to the viewers, where they share their ideas and how they think the current system could improve. And finally, at the end of the episode, we share the drunken conversation we had in Vancouver that solved the streaming industry as we know it. Enjoy. Welcome to episode 4 of At the Dinner Table by Sunday Dinner Music Group. We're fucking here in the studio. What's good?
How we doing?
What's up, guys?
How we doing?
Episode 4.
You forgot the LLC part.
LLC at the end
sorry.
of Sunday Dinner Music Group.
Super
We're
important.
official.
It's like
as
DDS,
fuck.
but LLC.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's DDS?
Incorporated.
It's for dentistry.
Oh, is that like BDSM too?
Oh.
Or no?
Yes,
DDS.
Okay, so we got a special episode planned for everyone tonight. We're talking about streaming. Yeah, streaming is kind of crazy. This is the world that we live in as music creators in the modern age.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone want to talk about what kind of like inspired this episode? Because I think it's a kind of a funny story.
Sure.
Go for it.
Yeah. So this was just a random conversation that came about while we were on our trip in Vancouver.
Yeah,
And we were talking, we were in a bar, funny enough.
we were
like,
pretty fucked up
yeah,
too.
Yeah. Like we were
Yeah.
heavily like in the night. It wasn't the beginning. We had a couple drinks and we're just sitting around. And it came out randomly that this conversation started, and it kind of continued throughout the night.
Yeah.
Into the bathroom.
Into the
yeah.
bathroom.
Literally,
Yeah.
into the bathroom, and then we would be at like the next bar, and then someone would bring up like another point, and then we would just have another 20-minute conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, because we solved the industry.
We literally
like,
solved the
essentially
streaming
we
industry.
solved the streaming
Yes,
industry.
we
and
literally
the
did.
crisis and the unfairness to artists.
Yeah, we're
So-
gonna get to that at the end. So stick through to the end if you want to know how we solved the music industry while we were drunk in Vancouver.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like if we could do it drunk, how did they not do it sober?
That's what I'm saying.
At
I know.
Spotify.
Because
That's
people
what
are
I'm saying.
greedy
Right.
You're right. You're right.
And
No,
and
it's
money
true.
hungry
Money
and
hungry.
power hungry. But
You're
that's
right.
besides the
I
point.
want money.
We'll get to the power.
Yeah.
The money and power. So, all right. I think we should probably start by just breaking down the streaming industry, how we've gotten to this point, and then we can also just like to the layman kind of explain how an indie artist like us would get our music on a streaming platform.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
So, breakdown of the streaming industry. I have a little chart here. It's kind of fun. So, basically, in the 1930s, vinyl records are invented. Okay. And then in 1970, that's when they peak. So, vinyl records become the most used form of music listening physically. Okay. Then we get the 8-track. Then we get the cassette in like the late 80s, early 90s.
Mm.
Then we get the classic CD, which peaks around 2002. And then, what's his name? Sean Parker invents Napster and destroys the entire music industry model as we know it, and goes basically from physical download or physical copies to downloads, which is kind of crazy. So
That's
it's
crazy.
entirely digital. And that's with Napster. And then iTunes kind of has its moment in like the 2010s. And by 2014, we have the modern streaming industry as we know it, which is Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, all the other ones that no one
Holy
listens
shit.
to or cares about.
You remember like downloading illegal music
Yeah.
onto like your onto CDs actually. I
Right.
used to make mixtapes
Yeah.
like with all like Weird
Yeah.
Al and
my
like literally Michael Jackson. And I would sell them on the streets and people would buy them. No, I'm kidding. I would never do that.
So we actually grew up in the time of physical CDs, but like we
Yeah.
were young,
Yeah.
like 10, I remember being 10 and having like Kids Bop 11.
Yeah. No, because
I had
that
CDs,
one
yeah.
went fucking hard.
That one
bro.
went crazy.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
real. No,
So-
but like we used to go to the stores and like the same way we went to Blockbuster. Actually, didn't they sell CDs at Blockbuster
They definitely
too?
did.
Yeah, there was a
Everywhere.
CD section. I used to check
Yeah.
it out. Every
That's
once
probably
in a
why
while.
Blockbuster went out of business, because CDs kind of just like
Yeah.
fell through
And
the floor.
Netflix.
They were not ahead of their time. That's for sure.
Insane. Oh, right, because it was movies originally, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So yeah, that's basically how things worked. And I guess with Napster, the reason why that eventually leads to streaming industry is because, like, when you go to the digital medium, it's very easy to counterfeit like music, right?
Sure,
you
yeah.
can illegally download things and then put it on your own CD or in your own MP3 player or iTunes. What do they call it? The iPod.
Yeah,
maybe
the
thing, whatever.
Nano, the shuffle.
Nano,
The
yeah.
Nano,
Yeah.
the shuffle. That's what it was.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was a joint.
So Spotify's big solution to this is, okay, you have free reign access to any music you want to listen to at this point in the industry, right? Like, you can listen to any song you want for free with YouTube or SoundCloud or whatever, but we still pay for streaming platforms, and we pay for streaming platforms because it creates like a convenient place that we can organize and kind of curate all of our music,
Yeah.
right? It's kind of like the convenience factor at this point. So yeah, that's how we get to streaming. What does the process look like to get your song on DSPs for the average indie artist? So if Matt, you want to release a song on Spotify,
Yeah,
how are
all
you
right,
doing
here's
that?
what I'm doing.
Walk me
I'm writing
through
the
it.
song, and then I'm getting it, or I'm mixing the song, I'm mastering the song, and then I'm creating promotional content around the song, and I'm uploading it to DistroKid.
What is DistroKid?
So DistroKid, like CD Baby, and I think isn't TuneCore the other one that people are
TuneCore. Yeah.
using?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's basically a digital distributor or a digital distribution system. So essentially, you upload it there, you pay like a small fee. You can either pay like per song or like per year for unlimited uploads, and then essentially like it distributes it to YouTube, to Apple Music, Spotify, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, like all the places where anyone would like, look for music these days.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I do it.
Cool.
Yeah.
How much money does that cost you?
It costs me anywhere from like $20 per song, or like I think it's like $50 per song.
I thought it was per year.
Or yeah, I pay per year.
Right.
So typically per year I'm paying like, what does it come out to? Like $70?
I think it's only 25 for
Only
one artist.
25?
Yeah, I think so. DistroKid is like becoming the industry standard for indie artists, and the reason why, like, their big selling point is that they don't take any percentage of the music or of the royalties that you gain through streaming.
Sure.
So it's a flat rate per year, and there are like multiple tiers of packages. But like, if you want to put a song on Spotify, you pay them at a minimum $20 a year,
Right.
and you have unlimited uploads, and they don't take a cent out of your royalties.
Wow.
So they're basically the middleman between
How
the
you get your music
right
onto
and
the platform.
and the DSPs, exactly. You can't just like log into Spotify and upload something like YouTube or something like that.
Right.
It's convenient because it shares it to everything. So you just do one album cover upload, one song upload,
Right.
one lyric upload, and it
Does it for you.
Gives it for you to everyone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So the next question is, how much do artists make per stream? Okay. And this is an interesting one. There's a range, which is kind of interesting, and we're going to touch on the range later in the episode. But the range is, I don't even know how to say this number.
Just
0.003 of a dollar. So it's less than a cent to 0.005 of a dollar. And it's dependent on multiple factors. One of them is which streaming platform the stream is coming from. The other one is, believe it or not, how many streams as an artist you already take or account for on that platform. So for instance, if I am Post Malone and I account for 30% of the streams on a platform, that's obviously way too many. But if I'm Post Malone and I have 30% of the streams on an entire platform globally, I take more money. But if I am Nick Spat and I account for a very small percentage of it, I take less. Does that make sense? Did I
That's the
explain that
current
properly?
system.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
makes
got
sense.
that .006.
It's like, it's insane. Yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, so we're going to touch more on that later because that's definitely one of the big talking points right now about the unfairness of the distribution of wealth in streaming.
Definitely.
But let's continue. So the main kind of thing we want to talk about right now is just the pros and cons of streaming.
Sure.
Because I think there are pros and cons for both the creator and the consumer. So if anyone wants to just share right away.
I'll
what
jump
they
in really
think.
quick.
Yeah,
I'll start with a pro. We all
Go
have
for
pros
it.
and cons, but let's start with a pro.
go for it.
In terms of making music and just getting it out to the world, it could never be easier.
Yes.
in this moment.
Love that.
It is, although we'll get into the cons, but a pro is it's easy, convenient, and you can do it with just a laptop.
Yep.
You don't need anything else.
Yep.
That's the pro.
I say another pro is for the consumer, because instead of spending $15 on this vinyl, $15 on this album, you can pay $10 a month and you get unlimited access to anything, and you can make your own playlist, and it's just convenient for the consumer as well.
Great point.
Right.
Yeah.
There's like so much accessibility to Spotify. Like there's so many people who don't know how you get on Spotify as an artist either. So they're like, "Oh, you're on Spotify. Like you must be legit."
Right.
Meanwhile,
I have $20.
all you need is $20, dude,
Yeah.
and like, a mediocre song.
Right.
Probably a dog shit song. But anyway, like, it's so easy. Like it's just such a simple process. It's like entirely financial, and there's cons to it though.
I think that is a con too, because you can
The accessibility?
Yeah, for
Why would you say
the artists, because you're allowing all these like people who shouldn't like be making music just like uploading on Spotify, who are just like
not that they shouldn't be making music, but like,
or like they're not.
There's a lot of it's oversaturated. Basically,
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So it's
The
harder to
pool is
connect
just bigger.
and find your audience through this. But what's interesting, I think, and I've been thinking about this, like, as we've been preparing for this conversation, I think that like the investment as a consumer that you had to make in artists that you wanted to listen to when vinyl records were the main medium of music and they were $12 is like so much higher than the investment that you have to make as a consumer now.
Of course.
Right? Like you spend your little $10 a month on Spotify, and it is no skin off my back to tap on an artist and listen to them. So I feel like the relationship between consumers and artists is like significantly different now. And I'm wondering if that influences on the other side how artists are creating music now. Right?
Yeah.
Right. Do you cater to just like people that will be your fans?
Right.
Or do you just try to go for a bigger pool and hopefully grab as many people on the train as you can?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
That's tough. I don't know which way. I mean, how you guys are both two indie artists right now. How are you approaching that? Are you feeling like, okay, I'm targeting something towards a specific audience, or do you feel more inclined to just put out music and see what it brings in?
Yeah, that's my approach.
Me too.
Like I literally just be putting stuff out, and like I guess I appreciate having the knowledge of like, okay, my fans are located in the Philippines, like in Finland, and also they're like between like this age group, which I could have told you that my music would attract people from
Like, I
18
think you
to
have
23.
Right.
You know
Yes,
what I mean?
you have an
Like,
understanding
crazy
of that.
breakthrough.
No, it's
No.
not. I could have told you that, but like I'm not gonna sit here and make music for those people specifically and be like, yes, a Gen Z song. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Yeah,
fuck
facts.
that.
But I will say streaming definitely influences the way that we roll out our music, right?
Oh, 100%.
Because it's like singles, especially for people at our level, are king. Like we're not making albums anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We are releasing singles to just keep our stuff like in the eyes of the listeners, basically. Whereas before you spent a year or 2 years of your life making a body of work and then distributing it to people, because like basically the amount of time you put into making that album is like the investment you're getting back from the people who are willing to spend that money on it.
Who's gonna like go up to you on the street and be like, "Oh, I'd like to buy your single for $5 and
Right.
listen to this all day."
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
You can listen to an album. The albums have replayability like crazy.
Right. Right. It's insane. But okay, this is interesting, and I definitely want to talk about this because I feel like I've had many conversations with like smaller artists, myself obviously included, but I think a lot of people come at this with some sort of like jadedness, and I feel like the jadedness is rooted in like kind of misinformation of this whole process.
I'm intrigued. What is this?
What's good? It's Nick Spat. Sorry to take you away from this brilliant conversation about the streaming industry. We just want to highlight one of our good friends who dropped an album recently, Mac Anderson. That's insane. That's actually insane, bro.
You're kind of mean for that.
Mac Anderson with Camping, his debut album. Such an amazing project. One of my favorites of this year. I produced track number 9, Phase Out. Show some love to the boy, Mac Anderson. We love you, Mac.
I didn't produce any tracks on that album, but like, he's fire. Like we've been in the studio before. I like him, yeah. That's it.
Love you, Mac.
Camping.
Stream Camping.
Peace.
I just feel like somebody will look at their Spotify account and see 20,000 streams, which seems like a lot of streams, but it's not.
Not even close.
No,
Nope.
it's not. But they're somehow equating 20,000 streams to 20,000 record sales, which is also a complete fallacy. There's no connection there, right? Like you can't just add it up the same way. If you had 20,000 streams and you said that's the same thing as 20,000 record sales, that's like almost $100,000 more.
Yeah. How much money is 20,000 streams?
Dude, let's look it up.
Look that up.
It's poverty numbers.
Jamie,
Does
can
anyone
you
have a
look
Jamie, check that
calculator
out.
real quick?
Actually,
I got it.
All right.
Jamie, pull that up.
Jamie, pull that up.
Do it for a small artist. Do it for
So if you're on the low end of the spectrum, which is 0.003.
003.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and when you buy a record, you play it.
My prediction is going to
Oh, yeah.
be like $400. I don't know.
400? I'm going to say
$60.
Oh my god. $60.
20,000 streams is $60, right? This is alarming. This is like scary to think about.
dude, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even know the numbers
Right.
were like that.
That's like 3 Chipotle meals.
Right. Right. But what I will
what
say
are you
is
getting like a
I get
bowl and a half,
everything. Yeah,
bro?
I
Like,
so, but in terms of profit, let's talk about the actual margin. It costs you $20 to be able to distribute to Spotify.
you're making
and
$40.
You just 3 times increase your profit with 20,000 streams.
yeah.
Right? So if you
No, absolutely not. Because if you're a smart artist, then you paid for some sort of promotion.
Sure.
Because you wanted to
Right.
look somewhat
Right.
legit, right?
Right.
So you got a photographer to take pictures of you and probably spent $120 minimum.
Right.
I paid
Right. So
$100 for the silver.
There's a
and
lot
gold
of fees,
shoot.
right? And also mastering, and also just like the investment in your equipment, right?
Oh my
But
god, yeah.
my I guess point of view on this is that proportionately it all adds up,
How do you mean?
because 20,000 streams is like not even one record sale in my eyes, and a billion streams is equivalent to like 20 million record sales.
Wait, where are you getting those numbers from?
I'm like, what's the word? I'm like loosely estimating, but basically the whole idea is, if you wanted to make a record in 1970, the average cost would be probably $100,000 from front to back, maybe even more. You're recording in a $100,000 studio. You're after it's recorded, you have to now pay for the actual individual like manufacturing of every single record. Then you have to pay for the physical distribution on planes and trucks and cars and shit to all the stores in the country, and then you have to sell them.
Right. So in that way, you needed a label to provide you with that $83,000.
Nobody has that amount of capital just laying around unless you're like a trust fund baby, right?
Right.
So,
Right.
so I think like while 20,000 streams means nothing, I think the amount of like money that you invested into that is proportionate to what you've gotten in return.
Like proportionate from today's standard to 1950s
Yes,
standard.
exactly.
Okay, interesting.
Right. But the problem is it's still art, right?
Right.
It's
That-
still a
that has
body of
never
music,
changed.
and it devalues art, even
Yes.
though it costs less to produce it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It does devalue art, but like there's pros and cons to either situation,
Yeah.
right? As we've already identified.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you look at back in the day, when you need a record label to release music, to have anyone hear your music, you're sacrificing all your control.
Right.
Like you have zero control
Right.
Absolutely.
over like your masters. Like the record label, that's why the record label is like owned or had as much power as they used to have.
Right, exactly.
You know, and
oh,
now
I'm
we're
so
in the-
glad you said that. I'm
We're
so
in the
glad you
age
said
of the
that.
indie artist now.
Right, right. Because there's no paywall anymore to
Exactly.
get your music out. There's no paywall. So
Yes, and for 20,000 streams, like I don't know. Think I'm trying to think about it as 20,000 streams. Like it can be deceptive because an artist can think, okay, my song has been listened to by 20,000 different people. That does not mean that that's true.
streams per listener,
Per
brother.
stream, yeah. That may mean that you have 8 super fans.
Right, right.
I mean that's
insane.
an exaggeration,
Right.
but
Or really good friends.
or really
Right.
good friends.
But and the
in that case-
investment of each of those people that have listened to your thing 20,000 times is significantly less than the investment that the people who made to listen to your vinyl record was, right? Because
Right.
you just paid your $10 a month and you can listen to it unlimitedly no matter what.
it's non-committal.
Non-committal.
Yeah.
Right? So here's what it is. The con for me is that it devalues art, but the pro for me, obviously we've laid out pretty good pros as a consumer. It's cheaper and you have a wider access to music, right? So your taste can be a lot more expansive now that you can listen to literally everything that's ever been created. But I totally lost my train of thought.
I have something.
Go.
How about the fact that when you are committing to a song or a single or an album now, it is way less committal financially for you to do anything. Like, I feel like I couldn't even imagine being in the 70s, like committing to 10 ideas in a studio and then like a year later being like, okay, yeah, like I don't really align with 5 of those songs now, but they're already recorded and I already paid a fucking fortune on this shit.
Right.
Like, what do you do?
Right.
I could just delete the Logic project if I really wanted to. I don't know.
It's
No,
insane.
That's a good point, but like in a way, I could see how that would lead to better art because you're making more of it over time. You know what I mean? And
For the digital.
for the digital,
Yeah,
I'm not
right.
saying that it has done that. I'm not like like saying that the art in the 19th century was not, or 20th century. Excuse me.
21st. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was not fire.
Yeah.
Like that's like some of the foundational like pillars of music that we even like listen to and
Right.
make today.
Mhm.
But like when you are afforded the availability of like, I can save this project, I can delete it. There's no money on this. Like there's no label on this. There's no opinion on this. It suddenly gets a lot easier to create. You know?
Yes.
Yeah,
I fully
I
agree.
fully
The
agree.
stakes were so
Yeah.
much higher when every fucking hour that you spent in the studio was costing your label like $1,000 or some shit like that.
Right. Right.
You know
That's
what I mean?
crazy,
And tape too, because you didn't record to some digital like refundable like resource. You were recording to a physical piece of tape thing, whatever the fuck it is. I don't
It's
even know.
finite.
It's finite, and it costs money, and you have
Costs
to keep
a lot of money.
Yeah. So every time you want to like, how many takes of like the chorus of Silver and Gold did you do?
Like, I don't know, 500-600.
I think it's like 5 or 6. No,
I
but literally
wasn't
though.
kidding.
No, literally, right?
Yeah.
And that would have costed, each one of those takes would have costed an amount of money. It's insane. It's
I
insane.
know.
So you
It's
better be a
insane.
good like musician, and you're putting all your energy into that studio session.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Right.
That's you had to be a good musician.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah,
Back
you
in the
can't.
day.
Yeah, you can't just MIDI or whatever retake comp.
Right.
Like you could.
Yo,
comp,
but I will say
right.
that doesn't devalue or like invalidate the people who are making music now that are non-proficient musicians in that way, right?
No,
They're making
it
different
doesn't.
stuff.
Yeah, it's
They're just
different.
making different
It's
stuff.
just different.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah,
different.
that actually it enables the true creative.
Exactly,
is
because
not
you're
an
not like
instrumental.
restrained by like just your ability to be able to fucking play it perfectly on the first try as like a traditional musician.
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
yeah.
But limitation's always been healthy for creativity.
I
though.
agree. I agree. That's why I think creatively this is the greatest time to be alive ever in music.
I think
personally.
so too, but like now what you're seeing is option anxiety, and not even just what you're
Sure,
seeing, but
sure.
what you're literally experiencing. Like
Sure.
every single day at the setup, it's like, all right, cool. I can do one of 10 million things.
Right.
I have every
What the
option.
fuck
at my
am I gonna do
fingertips.
today?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's so much shit to do, or that you could do. That like sometimes putting yourself in a box like that is the only way to get out of that shit. You know.
Agreed.
Facts.
Agreed. Yeah. What I was gonna say before is coming back to me now. It's just that I think we should, instead of complaining, we should be grateful that for such a low amount of financial investment, we can be on the same platform as the biggest artists in the world.
Sure.
100%.
And
We can
equate
share.
that to, this is what we do all the time, equate that to Netflix. You can't, if you're a filmmaker, you can't just get on Netflix
Right.
and be next to your favorite movies.
Right. I love this point.
Whereas on Spotify,
It's $20
it's
to
$20
DistroKid.
and you're on the same platform that,
You mean the same
Anyone is.
playlist as Drake?
yeah.
Right.
Easily.
Right. Like literally, if you think about the 1970s, your record is on the shelf next to Led Zeppelin's record.
Right.
That's literally what it is.
That's true.
It's insane.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just a thing to think about, I guess. It's not as bad as it seems because we have more opportunity now. And, like you said before, Matt, record labels, less power now because they don't get to control that paywall anymore.
Which is a good thing.
I think it's a good thing.
We
Yeah.
all agree.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah.
The problem, though,
Capital.
and we're
doesn't
going to get
agree.
into this. The problem is now the new labels are the streaming platforms, the DSPs.
Yes.
These are the people that now dictate the paywall, if that makes sense.
Right.
Right. So Spotify has way more power now in our music industry than Warner does, or than Capitol or Atlantic or any major label, whatever it is.
Hop on a playlist and boom,
Exactly.
there's your start as an artist.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So cool. I love that. Pros and cons. So yeah, I think as long as you guys are feeling good to move on, we have some audience like kind of weigh in on this
Yeah, I would love to
conversation.
hear
I
this.
would love
Yeah.
to go through those. I don't know where my phone is though. Yeah, we're at 23 minutes. Yeah. Bear with me, folks. Okay. So the first point from Madison Becker, is that how you pronounce the last name?
I think so.
More transparency and opportunities in regards to playlisting, and this is like actually a perfect segue.
Yeah.
So okay, what does Madison mean by this?
You tell me.
Okay, so Matt basically just pointed out that like because Spotify now is in control of who gets to hear what, they create playlists, editorial playlists, which I'm sure all of us have listened to music on editorial playlists. Spotify at the end of the day is the people that decide.
You're talking about like gym, like
Yes.
happy day,
Yes.
cleaning your house,
Exactly.
those kind of things.
They get to decide whose music is
Rap
on
Caviar.
these playlists.
Rap Caviar.
Rap Caviar, which is like probably one of the more popular ones, right?
Yep.
So it can change your career overnight. I can go from having 1,000 monthly listeners to 1 million monthly listeners literally the next day if I get on the right playlist.
Yeah.
And Spotify has that power at their fingertips at any point.
Yes.
Right? So more transparency and opportunities in regard to playlisting is amazing, I think. And basically how it works is Spotify allows you to pitch your song, no matter who you are, to an editorial playlist. And they have a staff of curators that parse through them and listen to them and decide if they should go on a playlist or not. But nobody really knows if they're actually
they
hearing
listen?
it, if they're what their criteria is. Are they actually truly saying, oh, everyone has an equal kind of like shot at this,
Field,
or is it just like, oh, Dua Lipa's label just basically gave us $1 million to put her song on this playlist,
Right.
so
Who
we're
knows?
gonna do that.
Who
You know what I mean?
knows?
Yeah.
Nobody knows.
So I was
Sure.
on a meeting with a PR company a couple of months ago, and I was just trying to pick their brain about some stuff. They were trying to like sell me a bunch of shit, obviously. But what they told me was like, they were like, "Do you know how many songs Spotify receives overnight, or sorry, in one day?"
I don't even want to know.
Can you look that up? Actually,
Yeah.
how many songs
It's probably
get
like
uploaded?
20,000 or some crazy.
I think it is 20,000 actually. And so essentially, if Spotify is receiving that much, do you know how much staff they would need to have just
On-call.
to listen to music every single day?
That is so bizarre.
So basically, the PR company
It's insane.
Oh my!
Well, that's what
God.
that's just posted.
100,000 songs every day.
Oh my God.
Well, how many are submitted to the playlist? That's what your question?
Well, I mean, figure 100,000. Let's
right,
say 50%,
right.
even
Yeah.
30% of that.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Right.
It's 30,000 songs, man.
That's insane.
Nobody's fucking listening or reading to your prompts, bro.
I'm sorry, they're not.
Yeah.
Like the PR company literally explained to me, like they're not doing that. The way that they actually do it is Spotify decides. So there's levels to your score,
Right.
to your popularity
Right.
score.
It's almost
on
like
Spotify.
Tinder or some shit
It's
like
actually
that.
like
like
Tinder has the
algorithmically-
ELO score,
Right,
And
exactly.
like so does Bumble and shit. Spotify will have a score for you based off of how much you're posting,
Right.
how much your music has playlisted, how
Right.
much it's streaming, monthly listeners, like TikTok, like it knows how much engagement you're getting on TikTok, Instagram,
It's insane.
Facebook.
Wow.
It knows everything.
Right.
Know is
all
like
connected.
the umbrella.
So yeah, you have
know
to
what
be
I mean?
you have to be popular and before you be popular.
Right. So,
You know,
but it's
like,
good though
yeah.
because it forces you to actually put the fucking work in.
100%.
And it forces you to actually build a fan base of people organically before they're gonna start like just throwing you on a playlist and giving you all sorts of success.
That's true.
I
That's
think
true.
I think it's healthy.
It is
because
healthy.
These like entitled ass like artists who have one song out and it's like mid at best or like why am I on the playlist? They didn't even listen to it. It's like, bro, just go work, put some more work in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I just feel like
I think
it's important.
I don't think it's controversial. I think maybe sometimes a frustration that I would feel is that when you're trying to figure out the Spotify algorithm, and obviously, as that comment said, it's not very like transparent.
That's the problem. Definitely.
It's that, and it's
Be
also
straight up.
be straight up, and also if it's checking your consistency on other platforms, not only do you have to figure out the Spotify algorithm, you have to figure out the Instagram algorithm. You have to figure out the TikTok algorithm.
Right.
You have to be studying algorithms all day.
Boo.
Right. It's
Who wants to do
overwhelming
that?
for sure.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming, but that's just the price we pay, I guess.
But
Yeah.
can you equate that to like back in the day, like having to come up with the money, right?
Sure.
Right.
To pay the
Right.
distribution,
So, right.
to pay for the
Just to
distribution
get in
of
the
your
studio
record.
or
There it is.
something. Yeah.
Just to get in the studio, you know what I mean? Like I don't know, you had to
garnish like some sort of attention from the labels to be able to get an advance
Right.
of
Yeah.
that size.
Right. So you have to already grow organically to get that deal. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So it's the same thing. This
Same
is
thing.
this is
It's-
the point. The
it's
point I've been trying
different
to make
work.
is the same.
It's different work.
Yeah.
But it's the same amount of work.
Yeah.
I would say.
It's not easy to find success, bro. And
No,
just
it's
because
not.
you can easily get on a platform where a lot of people are finding success does not mean that you're entitled to it more.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Put in the work and deserve your success, like it always has been. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like a foundational thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Great.
Love that.
Yeah.
Love that. So okay, Julian, shout out Julian. We love Julian.
go.
1 cent per stream. How the fuck you paying less than the smallest denomination of money? Okay, I love this because it's true.
Facts.
It's actually true. But I'll give you some pushback on this, Julian, because if they want to give us 1 cent per stream, your Spotify subscription is gonna be $100 a month.
Fact.
If you
No
want to
one's
pay,
paying
if
that.
everyone is down to pay $100 a month for Spotify, then give me a fucking cent per stream, bro.
I'll
I'm
go
rich,
put a down payment on a house
Literally.
or something.
Yeah,
Literally.
facts.
right?
Is there a way to calculate how much money that would actually end up being per monthly subscription? Not really, right?
You have
Per
to multiply
stream?
everything times 10, right?
If everything
'Cause
was a cent,
it was $10, now it's 100.
Just multiply it times 10. So it's like $3 or 3 cents per stream instead of a cent. I don't even know.
I don't know.
It's fucked up.
We'll do the math. But
well, even if it was $30 a month, are you guys paying for Spotify?
absolutely not.
You're not.
Me,
$30?
if I'm just
No.
a consumer, if I'm like
The problem-
because I don't know if I would
I
find
am.
the cheapest one. That's
Wait.
what would be my mindset. If I'm an artist,
Really?
Yes.
if I'm just a consumer,
Yes,
But
right.
still,
but
buy-
I'm not
you-
paying 30 if I've been paying 10 for my entire life,
That
which is the
too.
problem. But people,
True.
dude, how much money were people spending a month on records when they were buying $12 LPs?
That's what I was just
right.
gonna
Let's
say.
figure
It's
out what
like-
that is.
Like if you're spending like, I mean, dude, some records today are $35.
Right.
Yes,
But now they're
you
a
get to
commodity,
and you get to
right?
determine
That's-
which
that's
records
true.
you buy. You that's
Yes.
a complete like when I feel like a subscription has a little bit less power where it's like you have to subscribe every single month. You get to determine how many records you want to buy. If you're content
Right.
with your shelf and your library, like you're done.
That's
Yeah.
true.
You can have a dry 3-month period of not buying records. You know.
We're getting to we're getting to
we're
it,
getting
man.
to
We're getting
something.
to it innately just by talking about it. This crazy solution.
I hope Spotify sees this. Dude, they're not
Yeah,
going
Yeah,
to.
but if they
I
do,
know.
they would just like implement all the ideas probably with no credit. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
I'm saying? So
yeah.
fuck you, don't see this shit. Spotify. we are gatekeeping the solution to this entire industry right now.
Exactly.
And all of our viewers are too.
We're dropping it right here in episode 4.
Okay. Patty is your cousin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. No more industry plans and stop overplaying publishing mediocre pop songs. All right, you know what? I actually agree with this now that we've gone through this, because it's true. Spotify can overplay and publish mediocre pop songs because somebody is in their pocket
They're
with
getting the
money.
bag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually
This is
that's,
true.
That's totally
What is
true.
an industry plant? Can someone define that?
Like, it's basically somebody who is not necessarily talented. Like, some may argue Taylor Swift. I wouldn't, but
Right.
a lot of people use Taylor Swift as an example of an industry plant where
Really?
loads of
Yes.
money are funneled into her,
Like, we're
and
gonna
they
make
kind
you a
of
star.
basically force her
Got
into
you.
a stardom without like allowing it to happen organically.
Gotcha.
I don't know if I believe in industry plants, to be completely honest. I'm kind of skeptical about industry plants.
For sure.
I
I
think
can't
it's a
think
bit
of
of a
that many
conspiracy
examples,
theory.
honestly.
They said,
but
do you guys know Bobby, the
Yeah.
podcast that was the most recent like scandal of like, oh, like she's an industry plant.
Well, yeah, because she had Drake on the show.
for like her first episode, but like,
But you don't know if that's her first episode, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. It's
Like-
like you can never tell. Whoever says they know for sure doesn't
Right.
know
It's like
for sure.
it's like, oh, Shawn Mendes released his first album, which is just titled Shawn Mendes, and he got like an insane amount of streams. Oh, he's an industry plant. It's like, no, he actually spent like fucking 4 or 5 years building up his career,
And his
and
gas.
then when the
Was it
label signs
YouTube,
him,
right?
huh?
He was on YouTube,
and
yeah.
all that shit, and then the label signs him, and they're like, all right, wipe that slate clean.
Yeah,
Let's give
nah.
him a start fresh in the public eye, the way we want to do it, right?
Yeah.
It's a debut album, but he's been putting out music for his entire life.
Sure.
So
what you see and what's actually going on behind the scenes are two different things.
exactly,
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's as simple as like uploading music to 2 different like aliases. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you blow up on the second alias, then no one knows about your first one.
Right.
Take a look at Child.
Right.
You wouldn't know about his former alias
Right.
if you don't like research into him.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So you might say, oh, he's an industry plant, but he already had an entire audience before he even took the new alias in, and they're all
Facts.
diehard fans that follow him to the next one. Yeah.
That's
so
it.
I don't know. I don't know if I believe in industry plants, but stop overpaying or playing and pushing mediocre pop songs. I definitely agree with, because Spotify are the ones that are controlling who gets what, basically.
Sure.
Um.
So I can see that.
Yeah.
But it's also controversial because like what most people, or
not most people, but what some people define as mediocre pop music has been like some of the songs I listen most to. You know what I mean? Because
True.
just because like some people like to say it's mediocre pop because it's popular, right? Back to the Taylor Swift thing
Definitely,
where you hate it because
definitely.
it's popular.
Right.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, like, honestly, the only reason why I empathize with it is because I used to be that, you know?
Yeah.
Coming from, like, when I used to play jazz all the time.
Same.
I was like, yo, like, pop sucks. And I was like,
right.
wait, that is a completely
Right.
Pop is interesting, man. I mean, there's a reason why it is so popular.
Yes.
There's an
Facts.
art in itself
Right.
on how you make music for a mass of people.
Yes,
Yes.
what I mean?
I agree.
But like, I think what Patty's saying is that like
Angel is her first name.
Angel, I'm sorry.
all good.
I'm just reading the Instagram
all
handle.
good.
I think what Patty.Angel is saying is that like just because I'm Drake and I've made a bunch of great songs in the past does not mean that my next album is going to be just as good. And I'm still making a lot of money because my name is Drake. So my label can pay Spotify a bunch of money to get my songs to place on playlists.
Or on the cover when you open the app.
Right.
right.
Just because I'm Drake, but my songs might not necessarily reflect the attention that I'm getting. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? It's
Right.
not like as organic as a record sale would be or something like that. So yeah, I think it's a good point. Kalea has a brilliant point actually. DSPs nuts. And in parentheses,
thinking
sorry.
So I think you mean sorry.
Sorry. Kalea's Canadian. So shout out Kalea for the great, intellectual
Shout out Canada.
insight there. Yeah, shout
Yeah, I
out
feel
Canada.
good about that, Kalea.
Yeah,
Me
just
too. As a
represented
whole-
the whole country of Canada.
Basically, yes.
All 32 of yous.
No, we love Canada. We can't shit on Canada.
No,
we
we
actually
don't.
love Canada.
Yeah.
I'm about to move there,
Syrup
bro.
and shit.
Maple.
Facts.
Okay, and then the last one. Oh wait, actually no. I should look at Aiden's thing because Aiden actually had some great.
Shout out Aiden.
Shout out Aiden.
Lally, we love you, bro.
Lally.
So okay, a more social aspect to Spotify would be awesome for indie artists, like a feed where artists and users can share songs, clips, thoughts, criticisms, events, etc. It'd make it easier to pre-save music, find new artists in a direct line to streams, in addition to sharing on Instagram. He's onto something with that.
Yeah.
Really onto something with that. I think Spotify is already going in this direction, and I just heard last week that there's some sort of deal now with Spotify and TikTok. I don't know if it's the Facebook Meta stuff, but if you're using the official sound of a song, so all distributors distribute the song to TikTok, right? So there's an
Yes.
official song or sound for your song. If you use that in a video, somebody can just press on the thing and hit add to Spotify. You link your two accounts.
Nice.
And you don't have to leave TikTok to add a song.
Ooh,
Nice.
I
That's
thought that was
great.
gonna be. I thought you were gonna say something different.
No.
Actually, I thought it was gonna be if you use the sound in a video, it counts as a stream.
It does already, I think.
It does.
Yeah, DistroKid like recoups that money from you.
It does.
for you. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So if
But
your
it's a
song-
TikTok stream.
yeah,
right?
I don't know how they factor it in, but I'm pretty sure you do receive money for it at a certain point. But
I mean, that's great.
that is great.
yeah.
But still, the standard is Spotify. Like you every artist needs to funnel their
their fans
audience
across the
there.
platform
But now,
to
like
Spotify.
the biggest thing is the conversion rate sucks because you have to leave TikTok, go to Spotify, sign in, search them up, blah blah blah. But now it's like link the accounts, and every time you see a fire song that you like on TikTok, you can add it to your playlist right from there. That's gonna change the game.
That's
and
gonna
that's
be
a huge
phenomenal.
positive. That's a huge positive, I would say.
Yeah, dude.
absolutely.
Because one of our hardest like endeavors as indie artists is crossing platforms.
Crossing platforms, dude.
Like, let's say
Yeah.
you have a viral TikTok, like, good luck. I mean, like, I'm just gonna say it, like, yo, like, you had like a
Right.
a very very popular
Right.
TikTok. You know
and
what I mean?
I got nothing from it, like literally nothing that you
Really?
could track. Yeah, it's just a couple of followers on TikTok.
But I
right?
remember after you got that really popular video, you posted another video after it about the oh shit moment. That was such a perfect segue.
Mm-hmm.
And so even in practice, like, it didn't really work out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which
Right.
is so interesting to me. Like I was like, okay, this is the start of like Nick's bat. You know what I
I
mean?
thought it was too, but yeah, it's just not. But maybe if there was an easier way to convert an audience, it would have been different. You know what
Sure,
I'm saying? So
sure.
now we're seeing this. So now if you go viral for your song,
Yeah, if you put the banner, imagine that video with the banner for that song,
Right.
like right in the corner,
Right.
or just like
Exactly.
anything, dude. It had how many likes, dude? Like,
Exactly.
come on,
exactly.
so crazy.
So yeah, Aiden, you're onto something, and I think they're already doing it. So I think that's a great idea. Obviously, everything in existence ever is going in the direction of social media.
For sure.
'Cause
Of
that's
course.
like basically running our lives.
We're at 38 minutes.
Yeah. So okay, that cuts us off at the audience suggestions. We're gonna just take a quick break, and then we're gonna come back, and we're basically gonna just explain how we solve the music industry. We'll be right back.
Live.
Hell yes.
What's going on, everyone? Sorry to take you away from that Sunday Dinner Music Group podcast. We just have something super exciting to tell you. Our great friend, collaborator, artist, and Canadian Kalea, she just dropped. What's it called?
Everything Comes Back to You is the song title. The artist is Kalea. You should stream it right now because it's great.
Right
R&B. If you like R&B,
R&B.
you'll love it.
Check it out.
Check it out right now.
Check it out right now.
If you like music, do it.
Please, check it out right now.
So we're back.
We're back.
We're back
We're
from
back.
our dinner break.
Yum.
Okay, so we are here to solve the streaming industry.
That's what we're
We're
doing.
going to present our solution to the audience, to the public.
Cool.
What's the big dilemma, Nick?
The big dilemma is, should higher streaming artists receive more money per stream than lower streaming artists because they own more of the market share?
I'm gonna say no.
I think everyone's going to say no.
Really?
No.
100%.
No.
No.
This is the
Everyone
big
says
dilemma.
no?
It was honestly more of a rhetorical question than anything else because
Facts.
the answer is obviously no.
All right. So now I feel stupid for answering.
No,
but that's
Yeah.
right, though.
no, stop it.
Fine.
Stop
I'm glad.
No,
Basically,
you're smart, man.
to break this down, Post Malone. I don't know why we keep using him as the example, but we're just gonna roll
He's the
with
GOAT.
it. I
He's
love
the
Post
GOAT.
Malone.
Roll
He's
with
my
him.
he's my favorite artist.
The Weeknd. you
The
know.
Weeknd is
Fill in A-list artists.
fill
here.
in A-list artist. Insert A-list artist here.
Dua Lipa.
Basically, one stream
Right.
for them will net more money than one stream for me because they have more monthly listeners than I do as an artist.
Right.
So it's like at surface level, you're like, okay, sure, right? Like they're bringing in more money for Spotify each month. It makes sense. But then you're like, wait a minute, hold on. Because Post Malone is getting millions, if not billions of streams a year.
Right.
Now I'm getting thousands. So,
Shouldn't your percentage be a little bigger?
right.
To
Or shouldn't it just
even
be equal,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
what happens is it creates basically a wealth gap. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer, right?
Mhm.
It's not fair.
in our Spotify ecosystem.
In our Spotify ecosystem, right? So the A-list artists are getting even more money, and the lowest tier artists are getting nothing.
Wah, wah.
So
And the middle is getting fucked.
that's the thing. Okay,
Mhm,
right.
yeah.
So but let's get to that in a second because I want to talk about the little thing that you were saying before about
Yeah.
Spotify cutting basically royalties for like
Yeah.
what demographic was it again?
So I'm reading this headline the other day, right? And it literally says Spotify is not paying people who make under 1,000 streams, or not make but earn under 1,000 streams on their songs,
Right.
right? And so did you know that literally will cut out 80% of people who have music on Spotify? Think about that.
So 80% of
80%.
people who have music on Spotify are not getting a royalty check now.
Well, until they surpass 1,000 streams,
Right.
right? And
Wow.
so, but to think that literally we identified there's like 10 million people who use streaming platforms. Was that for music or is that as an audience perspective?
Oh, I have no idea. Let's look it up.
Jamie, look that up.
Nikki.
Nikki, look that up.
Nikki,
I gotta
yeah.
put my microphone down for this.
All right,
No
say
worries.
that.
Continue though.
Yeah, so like when you take that many people out of the equation, and you're left with the top 20% who has music that has ever streamed above 1,000. Like, doesn't the market get a little bit smaller? Like, don't we kind of feel like, okay, like if you surpass 1,000, you're already in the 20%. Like, you don't have to go that much further. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there's kind of a sense of like false, like safety. I feel like, you know what I
Mhm.
mean. After that, but the good news is that like most digital distributors aren't even paying out like until like you reach about $25 or something like
Right,
that.
so the math kind of checks out anyway.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
1,000 streams is like literally like less than $3.
Right.
So it's not even like you'd end up making like, it's not like you're losing money. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Sure.
Like you wouldn't be paid anyway if you were at less than 1,000 streams.
So
Sure,
what is
sure.
the difference then? Do if you're not getting paid anyway?
Well, think about it like this, right? There's so many, literally 80% of people who have music on Spotify are now not getting their $3 or call
Right.
it $3.
So 80% of those
Dude.
songs, those $3, that adds up to a lot of money for the people who are actually like
for the top 20%.
the people who are bringing in the real money, right?
Sure. Yes.
So it is a good thing. It seems like it's a bad thing. It seems like you're fucking independent creators, but actually what it does is it really has no effect on the people at the top, right? The A-list
Right.
highest earners, this is not affecting them at all. But what it's doing is it's making it a bit more sustainable to be a middle class artist.
Yeah.
Right? And middle class artists are definitely the ones that are struggling the most in today's industry because they're at a place where their success is like just enough that they're making a career out of it and they're like actually sustaining a lifestyle out of it, but they're barely scraping by.
Right, and not alone with just streaming.
They have to go on tour. They have to do all this shit.
Sell merch.
Right. They're putting in like insane amounts of work to barely scrape by, whereas majors are putting in the same work,
right,
and in excess. Right?
I don't think we said this on the podcast before, but like merchandise used to be your physical music. I don't think we said that, but that like
when exactly.
Now it's got to be everything around the music than the actual physical entity.
Right. So that's why they sell merch, because you have to sell a t-shirt to make money now, because the actual art itself is no longer the merchandise. You don't go to the store and pay a bunch of money for that. You just pay a subscription, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest problem really with streaming is it devalues art. That's the biggest problem.
I would say that's the key takeaway here.
That is definitely the key takeaway. Key takeaway for sure. But the problem is now that we live in a society where this price point has been set, and it's like, how the fuck do you raise the price on something like that drastically? Right. So Spotify says, okay, there's 80% of people who are like maybe just casual music makers or whatever, or they haven't really garnished like a big enough fan base.
Yeah.
Let's just take their royalties until they, not forever, but until they surpass this certain amount, and let's just redistribute them amongst the people who are actually like really dedicating their entire lives to this path.
I mean, I think it's fair. I could scrape $3 off of the street. You know what I mean? Like, no, I'm serious.
Like, just sounded funny.
Like,
I could do it right now. Like, don't even. You know what I mean?
That $3 is less valuable to the person who had 1,000 streams. It's more valuable going into a pool of money that can go to. Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, like, is that Spotify's decision to make?
The problem is, morally,
I feel like they're already making
but
enough crazy decisions as it is.
You're right. Like, we identified before, like, they're literally the label of today now.
Right.
Like, they're the label that you don't have to be signed to be under. You know what I mean?
Right. But so this is the interesting thing, though, because Spotify, in like a weird way, I don't want to say they're on the side of the artist, but they're not. They're definitely not. But
they're not making
why don't
money.
You think so?
I don't know. I just feel like in terms of exploitation, like they're interested in making money. They're a multi-million-dollar company.
I mean, so is everyone, though.
Yeah,
sure.
They're not on the side of the artist like a record label is not on the side of the artist. Like they are. Like obviously the artist has to prosper for Spotify to do well, and the artist has to prosper for the record label to do well. But they're not necessarily interested in like these like core kind of things that we're talking about in terms of like the quality of life for an artist or whatever.
Sure.
But they are in a dilemma, the same dilemma that we're in right now, and they actually recognize that things need to change, but it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the fact that Spotify has not made a profit in the existence of its company.
Yeah.
Right?
Which is crazy,
so this
bro.
current model is not working for us as artists, and it's not working for them either. So they need to figure out a way.
Something's got to change, and I feel like maybe they're definitely tied to their like label like agreements, and that's probably also not helping negotiations at all. Like that probably makes them feel a little more constricted with their choices too.
Probably fucked by labels too.
Yeah.
They also just can't raise the price of a subscription that much without getting like major pushback from people.
Yeah,
bro.
ask yourself if you would buy a $30 Spotify subscription on top of all the other things that you have to pay for. Is it really worth it?
Right.
Like, no. It doesn't
not.
end up being worth it.
Well, I think it's worth it if that's what the price is. Like if every single streaming industry from the jump was charging $30, I would have no problem spending, because basically the industry is
the
marketing.
precedent has been set.
Right.
The precedent
They've told us that this is how much music is worth, so now this is how much we're willing to pay, and we're not willing to pay more than that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Which is the issue. So let's break down what we were talking about in Vancouver. I can't even believe we came to this, but it works. I think it checks out. I mean, like, mathematically, I'm sure there's work to be done, but this is the premise. So, and this ties into our conversation last week about Splice. We talked about Splice last week.
Right.
So the whole format for Splice is you have credits. So you pay a subscription, say $7 a month. I think that's what it is, 7 or 8.
Somewhere around there.
And for that amount of money, you get 100 credits. And then with those 100 credits, they equal one sample. You can download a sample. You basically have 100 credits per month. And if that's not enough, you can spend $15 a month and you can get 300 credits. So there's tier system and it's credits. So you have access to every sample on Splice, but you can only download 100 per month. That is the method that Spotify should follow that.
It's a fire name too.
Spotify, yeah, for real. So you pay your subscription, and basically you can only like add or purchase or save or exchange your credit for 100 songs per month, rather than just being able to listen to everything. And honestly, dude, I add less than 100 songs a month to my monthly playlist each
Question
month.
for you.
Yeah.
I would say most people do.
Yeah.
Do 2 questions.
Yeah.
Do the credits like Splice accrue over time?
Yes. I think so. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because you paid for those credits.
Yes. So they don't
You
just
pay
disappear at the
regardless.
end of the month. So if I don't use 20 credits, the next month I have those 20 credits plus the 100 that I renew.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not per listen, it's per save.
It's per save. Yeah.
Nice.
But just like a free account on Spotify can like radio play music or listen to playlists, but just you can't decide the order of it. That's what your subscription comes with. So you have your 100 credits. You can listen to anything, but you can't like necessarily choose it, right? And that simulates the real world perfectly when you used to buy like vinyl records, because you would buy a record and you could listen to that whenever you want because you owned it and you bought it.
Yeah.
But you could go turn the radio on and listen to songs in a specific genre, just not at will. Like they would just play it and that would be it.
Fucking genius.
It's genius, bro. It's literally genius, right? And then it's the question of, okay, how do we distribute the wealth proportionately, right?
Yeah.
Well, if I decide, like, I'm really into this, like, low-key indie artist, right, who's, like, kind of under the radar a little bit, but I'm really into them, I can spend 50 credits on them, right? And that's going to reflect the amount of money that they get that month.
Right. They have a super fan, so they get to reap the benefits
Exactly.
of that. Yeah.
Now, what do the artists get from that? Like, what is a credit for an artist?
So the same
pay-wise?
way that a stream, I believe the split between Spotify and the artist is 70-30. So per stream, however they disperse the subscription per month, they turn that into a rate per stream and then split it 70-30 per stream between the artist and Spotify. Just keep the margins the same.
And I have
and split a credit. So a credit is now worth $1 basically. Or I'm sorry, 10 cents.
Yeah.
Right?
I just thought of this too.
Yeah.
You could potentially make a Spotify silver package, Spotify gold package.
That's the whole idea. So
Yeah.
you're allowing people to now, if I want to download more than 100 songs per month, I can
$3
buy
extra
Right,
per
exactly.
month.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm just turning the headphones off because I can hear them. So yeah, it gives the consumer more control, and like there's also a finite amount of music that you can listen to, and you can discover music the same way by just listening to playlists and artists and blah 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 and blah blah blah. But if you really want that song, you got to cough up a credit for it. So
Yeah.
it's like modern. It's you know.
I just thought of something else.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
I thought of
Go.
all right, maybe this won't work, but this is how Spotify, not that I give a fuck about them, but this is how Spotify makes a profit if they want to. You can make it so that the same way that podcasters are exclusive to a streaming service. Joe Rogan, for example, Call Her Daddy, they
Andrew
all
Huberman.
Yep. They do their own thing with a specific streaming platform. If you have
Oh my
any
God.
subscription, if you have the silver, the golds, the whatever you want, you can unlimited listen to that artist.
Right.
So Post Malone is a Spotify exclusive
And they can
artist.
cycle them like monthly too. So
Yeah.
like if Post Malone has this big album dropping, then the label and Spotify can negotiate a deal where everyone with the gold package now can listen to the Post Malone
Unlimited.
album, unlimited.
because then you're not wasting credits.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you know what? Right now, just to think of it, like $10 a month for what we're getting, like we're getting so much. Like
Right. We're getting everything. We're
we
literally
are
getting
blessed.
everything.
No, we are literally
Yeah.
blessed.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we're getting too much to the
But
point
we're
where
not
now
even using all
we're
of
gonna be
it.
greedy. Like we're gonna be greedy. And so even this plan, let's say Spotify puts it in tomorrow, right? There's gonna be so much pushback and so much like another platform might even
Right.
take over.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's like the downside to this. But like in a perfect world and in a vacuum where like the public wasn't exposed to the way that things are right now, I truly do believe that this would work. I truly do believe in it because the credit system is like it puts the power in the hands of the listener. Because
Yeah.
but also the artist, right? Because you can make money as an artist, and you can also make money if you're like a person at Spotify, or if you're a listener, you get to support your fan in a way that actually matters to them.
Right. You're
Yeah.
investing.
You're creating
Yes.
taste.
Like,
you're literally creating.
dude, like being honest with me, like when one of my friends like shares my like song on Instagram, that's great, man. That's great. It means nothing to me, but like that's great. Do you know what I mean?
Explain.
Well, I mean, like you shared my song. That's great. That doesn't mean anyone's gonna click on it. Doesn't mean anyone's gonna give a fuck. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
If you go and you literally save my song and spend one of your credits on me, then I'm
It's
gonna
more
make.
of a commitment.
You're investing in the artist.
You're investing in the
that's-
artist.
and
I
can
that's-
see
we just
that.
have to create an ecosystem where the artist gets invested in. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I kind of gonna give you pushback on that because I understand what you're saying. We're definitely greedy, and anything that changes the structure right now for the consumer is gonna get pushback from the consumer. I think
100%.
whether that's raising the rate on the monthly subscription or changing the way that we do it. But like, I just think that like. For me, I listen to a lot of music, and I know you guys do too. And we're constantly like listening for new shit and blah blah blah. But if I had 100 credits to spend a month, I would not go over my 100 credits every month. If I say you could listen to any song one time free of charge, right? Just like you can preview like a splice sample as many times as you want just to know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
If I can do that and then say, okay, I want to listen to this 10 times this month, I'll just add it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have access to everything, but now I have to just make an investment into the things that I actually want to like pull into my library and stuff like that.
And you can make
I think
benefits.
it's fair, you know?
You can make benefits for each package. Like
Right.
like you can make unlimited playlists with the gold one.
Right.
Like so that every time you want to, you know, have the aux at a party, like you never have to worry about it again because
Right.
it's still connected to your package or whatever.
Right.
Like I think it might even be smart to go the opposite direction. Have the 10 whatever. How much is Spotify? $10.99.
I have no idea.
like $9.99,
Yeah.
something like that.
You can do 15. You can do 20. You can do a $4.99 starter.
Mhm.
20 credits. Get like just you know you're trying to you just got the app like
Right.
you're just you know you only use it a little bit a hobbyist
Right.
whatever.
right.
Yeah, that's all I had.
No,
Yeah.
I love it. Like I love it. You know, and,
Yeah.
and it,
I love you.
no, seriously.
Oh.
Like it would
I'm
just make so
serious
much
too.
sense. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's lit.
It would just add up. And like all we hear now is like subscriptions and,
I
and
know.
packages and I mean go on CapCut, dude. Like, you know, you could get the free version, you could go premium, like
Netflix, Hulu, everything. It's crazy.
Right,
it's
so
man.
not
this-
like this
this-
is an adjustment, you know what I mean?
No,
it's
it's
the
not.
norm.
Yes.
It's the norm in other worlds.
Exactly.
And like, the difference with a thing like Hulu, and I'm shitting on Hulu right now, is that when you have the normal Hulu package, you have to watch 2-minute ads every 3 minutes. That's not what we're saying here.
No.
You're not watching advertisements. Splice doesn't make you watch advertisements. You just get a quantifiable number. You know?
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the most fair way to distribute the wealth
Yeah.
in the industry. Yeah, and it, in a way it simulates the real world. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like if I wanted to be able to go on aux at a party in 1970, I better have the record. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
You're a
Yeah.
DJ. You gotta have
Yeah,
the.
and it's kind of cool because it's like, oh, yo, you got this one? Damn, like
You're cultivating a taste.
you're collecting shit,
Yeah.
right? It's art. It's fucking art. It's not data. It's art, bro. You
The
know what I'm
same
saying?
It's
way
just in the
that-
digital age now.
Yeah.
The same way that like, you know, I'll look at one of your splices and go through some sounds
You're like,
and
oh,
be
yo,
like,
you got this
yo,
one. And
you got good taste,
Right,
G.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
these
Right.
are good kick samples.
right, and that sample
you
means a
got
whole
good
lot
taste
more.
in music.
Right.
Facts.
But you had to actually be like, oh, I'm going to sacrifice something for this song,
Yeah.
my credit or whatever it
Yeah.
is. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Money.
Right.
Yeah.
Right now I think the reason why it feels so saturated because the value of it is lower too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
What do
not-
you mean the value of
well,
it?
The value of art because of the
Like-
streaming industry.
Like not the because I feel like you're right. The value of like the financial value that the industry has put on art is lower than it used to be. Right, but like the way
No,
that
but-
we
but
value
also-
art as humans is still the same. I
the
think.
commitment.
think
I
so.
think.
Do you think we value art less?
Yeah, because
You think we
it's
listen
so
to music?
accessible. It's so accessible.
Okay.
I don't know, dude. Like before I was like a
Sure.
full on like music producer and like a writer and shit. I would just like listen to like the chorus of like a song and then like just be done with it and throw it out after. You know what I mean? Because it was easy. It was it's when everything's at your fingertips like that. Like I don't know.
It's too much.
It's kind of too much. Yeah. You know, like
Right.
I had to like really realize like I gotta listen to these songs.
Yeah.
I gotta make playlists with my monthly taste and I gotta up my taste.
Yeah.
Just because it's at my fingertips does not mean that I have it internalized. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so what I'm saying
Yes.
is when you use a credit system, it's not like you're just downloading shit for the hell of it and
Right.
using your credits to spend them away.
No, you're doing it with intention.
Yes.
There's a
Yeah.
degree of intentionality
Right.
that it brings
Absolutely.
It
upon
will
you.
make art better too because now artists will know that like their consumer, their listeners, whatever, are actually they're putting some thought into like actually interacting with their
Yeah,
music. You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? And
Right.
I actually was listening. I don't remember who it was. It was in the ballet world. Some ballet person was saying like the prime of ballet. I don't even know like the specifics of it, but her point was basically that in New York City in like the 90s, like the reason that ballet was so good was because the fucking like audience was so into it and they like loved ballet and appreciated it so much, and like if somebody made a wrong move, it was like all anyone would fucking talk about for like the next week or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like that pushed the artists to their fucking peak and made the art so much better because the listeners or the consumers of the art were actually like interacting with it with intention.
Yes.
Dude, absolutely.
Yes.
But like that's like I don't know, that's what makes art cool, man. Like it's always no, it's not always how it's received.
No.
But the thing that gives art like a degree of like, oh, this lives in the world,
Right.
and its own soul is the way that you see it playing into people's lives.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Go.
Related to TikTok really quick.
Go.
Because when you watch videos all day, the way that we all doom scroll and just fucking go at it for hours. Like I dare you next time that you're done scrolling, look, like just stop and be like, okay, I remember recall 10 videos.
Yeah,
You can't.
Can you recall
You
10
can't.
videos?
Recall 3.
You're exactly.
You'll scroll back and be like,
can't.
oh, I don't remember watching
Your
that. but
brain
oh, shit.
doesn't have
Right.
the capacity to obtain all this information in this quick of time.
Yep.
You need like this actually, you know how we say our best are like some of the best artists that we listen to, the second time you listen to their song, it sounds better than the
Yeah,
first
I don't
time.
get it the first time. Yeah.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. As you shouldn't. And it's like it's the same exact principle. Your brain literally cannot absorb that information when it's infinite.
Sure.
It's not meant to work like
Right.
that.
Right.
Yo, this is kind of tangential, but what do you guys think about the Spotify implementation of the doom scroll? Now that you can like find new
Fuck
artists
Fuck that.
why?
I just think that it's you're now you're taking music, you're taking art, and you're putting it into a fucking algorithm.
But weren't we doing that with TikTok already?
Yeah, but at least there's a degree of separation. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
Like,
what is the separation when literally your music distributes to TikTok as well?
because people are gonna listen to music like the way you said. You said, "Oh, I used to listen to music where it's like, oh, I'm just hearing the chorus and then I'm throwing it away. Like that's all. It was surface level. That's exactly what people are gonna do now. It's like, oh, sound bites of songs, and I'm not really listening to the song. I'm listening to a snippet of the song that's supposed to go viral and grab my attention so that I add it to my playlist.
For sure,
You know what
but,
I'm saying?
but like I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I feel like there could be a devil's advocate point of view that says that TikTok has already set the precedent for that. Right? TikTok
you're
has
right.
already affected the music industry.
It has,
like that.
but
Absolutely.
it definitely has. But at the end of the day, though, when the song comes out, you're garnishing attention for a full song, and when it comes out, you go to Spotify and listen to it from front to back, even though a clip of it went viral. You know what I'm saying?
But interesting. When that's affected the composition of songs, right? Like according to like some of our professors, like they literally have said like people are writing hooks only in their songs.
Right.
No verse, like
Yeah.
no nothing else, like just hook A,
Filler
B,
for the
C.
rest of the song, and then it's like, okay, yeah, I heard this hook on TikTok. I know every word.
Yes. Like, dude, I don't know. I feel like low key, like TikTok has already set us over the edge to
Right.
the point where like a majority of streams are coming from like TikTok viral songs.
Definitely.
You
But
know?
It's crazy.
I don't know how I feel about that because I just feel like when you're, I don't know, the engagement with the song on the actual like platform that the song is being consumed on in that way is, to me, like is a little scarier for some reason. I feel like it will affect the art more
Sure.
personally. I don't know if that's true.
Well, because I
But-
guess I see where you're coming from. Because up till now, you've gone to Spotify to listen to the song cover to cover, right,
Sure.
beginning to end, and you kind of,
Yeah.
you know, you chill there while you're listening to the whole song. TikTok is just the chorus, right?
Right.
And so it's
Right, and so just the chorus
value.
mixed in with the rest of my FYP, which is some guy cooking pasta and this other thing and this other thing, and it's a cool song. I'm interested in that. But now it's like, okay, here's a cool song, here's a chorus. Which one do I like the best? Which one is the catchiest? I'm just gonna keep scrolling until I find the catchiest one. Blah blah blah. Oh, this one's good. Add it to my playlist. That puts us in a fucked up position as artists because now we're like, oh
Sure.
god. Like the
Sure.
only way I'm getting discovered is against every other fucking song, like right there in an endless fucking timeline. I better just make something catchy, and who gives a fuck if like my verse sucks and if my bridge is basically filler. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely, G. I feel that.
That's crazy.
Interesting.
That's crazy. But in theory, it could help. But I don't think it will. I think
In
it will
theory,
fuck art
could
up.
help. And also, yo, in theory, like we've had enough things that would affect the way that we're making art, and it's our conscious decision to decide not to pay attention to them.
Definitely.
To affect the art, right?
Definitely.
I could sit here and write a song that I want to go TikTok viral,
Yeah.
and probably have it mastered within the next couple years, like couple months. I could probably have that skill down.
Sure.
But I choose not to do that because I'm after something much larger.
Yeah, and
right?
at the end of the day, your career will be more meaningful, and you'll have probably a more sustainable fan base if you don't do that.
It's a
If
cheap
you just-
thrill. It's
It is.
definitely a cheap thrill.
Bellion talks about that
Dopamine
all the
rush.
time.
Absolutely.
Rick Rubin talks about that all the time. It's
Yep.
a cheap thrill. And all those viral songs, dude, you look at the artist pages, and it's like one song significantly streamed more.
And
than
people
everyone.
hate those
Yeah.
songs,
Yeah.
dude, because they hear them all day.
Yeah.
And those artists.
And those artists because of what they represent and that sound, yeah.
I'm kind of done with Gail. Like I don't need ABCD.
I like that
EF,
song,
again.
but you're right.
Really?
I'm not
it's
a fan of
overplayed. I don't like it.
ABCDEFU. I'm not a fan of that one.
No.
You think
neither.
she was an industry plant? Do you think?
No.
No.
But I did
No.
like Jake for a while.
Well, she wasn't an industry plant, but like her manager like commented on her TikTok like to start some sort of like promotional campaign or something like that, and it was clearly staged. Like it was a staged interaction.
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with clever marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess. But in the eyes of like what an industry plant is, like that's getting closer to one than
I don't think so.
why not?
So you're saying if I spend money on an advertisement for marketing, I'm an industry plant because I put money into something?
Like no, but like I don't know, if you have like people from the industry who have money like staging like an advertisement like that. I don't know. I'm staging an interaction.
But I have talent, right? And like I'm pretty good, and like my songs are good, and now they're just like creating like a interesting
might be
marketing
the-
campaign.
it
say,
might-
say you don't, and it's just one song. You know what I mean? One
Yeah.
song that like could pop off,
Yeah.
and like you look the part.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. Maybe my view of an industry plan is wrong, or I just think that it's fake.
I think
think
my
mine
view
is-
of the industry plan is if it exists, which I'm not even sure at this point if it does, is that your amount of resources. It's not, this person is spending an X amount of money on ads and campaign. It's, this person is spending fucking millions, tens of thousands of dollars. Like, I feel like that is the quantifiable difference. It doesn't matter if they're in the industry, if they're not. It's, do you have this crazy amount of money? That's what makes you a plant. I don't think any other reason would make you a plant. It's just the amount, the access of money and the relationship you have with talent. Like those two correlating with each
Right.
other. That's
Right.
usually how I would think.
That's how I'm viewing it too. Yeah.
So it's like the absence of talent, the absence of like creative direction,
yeah, or the
but
balance.
the presence of money.
Yes, and like the imbalance
Yeah.
of the two.
Like
Sure,
it's
okay.
basically like a record label is like, okay, that person has a good look. We think that they could be a star. How can they sing? Yeah.
Can they
Well,
dance? Yeah.
Yeah. But then they just pour a bunch of money into it, get the best fucking producers in the world, get her like singing lessons or him singing lessons for whatever, and then that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's an industry plant, I think.
Facts. Okay, that makes more
You know?
sense. That makes more sense.
Because like,
I feel like there's this idea of like industry plant, like of a 12-year-old being like, we're gonna turn you into the biggest star in the world.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that's not what I'm thinking
Yeah,
of.
I'm thinking of like people rising, getting like so much fame like really quickly because they have the resources behind them,
Right. Right.
which is like part of that record label situation. But people thought Billie Eilish was an industry plant at first.
but she had a like, it's so stupid though, because prior to her like blowing up in like the public fashion, she had a devout fan base.
Yeah,
Like, dude, I remember the fucking like, like the like goth girls in high school were like, "Yo, Billie Eilish,
Yeah,
like,
I
yo,
mean,
this shit is actually fire." Like, who is this girl?
2017, 18.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later, she's
Bad
the biggest
guy
thing in the
comes out.
world. And everyone's like, "Who is this girl? Like, I've never heard of her." It's like that. It appears like she's an industry plant, but like really, she's been rocking for like a couple years now and like putting out great shit and growing organically.
Mm-hmm.
But like, all it takes is the right song or the right person to back it or
Yeah.
the right investment or ad campaign, and the whole career
Sure.
goes overnight.
Same thing with Kid Laroi too.
Exactly.
Same
That's why it
exact thing.
looks like it.
It appears that
But
way, but I
yeah,
don't
it's not.
believe that.
She's not.
You can
she's
just
she's definitely not. I mean, I'm not even convinced right now that an industry plant is.
That's
still
what I'm saying. I don't
sure.
believe it. I don't think you can take a talentless, soulless act and turn it into the biggest thing in the world with just money. That goes against everything that we believe in, I feel like.
Yeah, I know,
Because
I
we
agree.
believe that like good art and successful art is directly related to authenticity. You know
Yes,
what I'm saying?
yes,
And
yes,
quality.
absolutely.
Right? Not just, this is the right trend to follow right now or whatever.
Sure.
So yeah. Tangential, but I think still important.
Yo, give me like 10 seconds. Let me just make sure it's recording.
Yeah, good idea. I was kind of worried about that too.
I just want to.
A, B, C, D, E, F. You and your mom and your sister and your dog and your broke ass face and your dumb ass dogs.
Yeah, great fucking song, man. So that's how we're solving the streaming industry.
That's how we're doing it. Let us know what you think, though. You know what I mean? You know, I'm curious, like, what the layman would think. You know what I mean? The
layman.
Just like the man
The
of
lame.
lay.
It's funny because it sounds like lame man,
No,
but
it's not layman. It's layman.
Yeah.
In layman's terms.
In layman's
Yeah,
terms.
I don't know. It's
I think there's going to be pushback as anything
Yeah,
would
I
be. I
agree.
mean,
yo,
like,
we should just go on strike as artists.
The four of us.
the four of us.
Yeah,
With all the control
The
we have on the
industry would
industry.
No,
Yeah.
but actually,
Sure.
you know the writer strike in Hollywood, right?
I've heard of it.
Completely
I've seen their work.
same thing.
Yeah.
Same exact premise, but just in the film world. Like, basically, movies are not making money.
Right.
Netflix is not making money.
Yeah.
Writers are not making money
Right.
because of it.
Yeah.
They're like, fuck you, we're going on strike.
And
So-
they got paid. Just
got
with the
paid.
new school, teachers
Yeah.
went on strike, musicians and artists.
That's crazy. Dude. Like, can you even believe the writer's strike?
Whoa, man.
Yeah.
I think we got all our sillies out and all our points across. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah,
Sillies
no.
out. What you want to say?
I feel good.
Crossed. We
I feel
talked about
good.
the
T's
layman.
crossed,
I feel
I's
great.
dotted.
So in 10 years, when you buy your Spotify subscription and you have credits,
Think of us.
You heard it here
you
first.
heard it here first.
You heard it here first,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, Spotify didn't credit us for that. But just know that we were that person.
Yep.
We
Signing
can't-
off.
Spotify, cut us a fat check.
Please.
right now. Make up for all the wrongs you've done us.
Please.
$50,000 each.
All right, so you record.
This has been Sunday Dinner Music Group at the Dinner Table, episode 4.
So. Bye, Layman's.